All right, I'm going to show you how to knock down the Model 2 so it's easier to transport it downstairs or into any tight locations. First step is to remove the top with the pins on the top cover. And you can slide the cover off. Next step is removing the side panels. You're going to have to disconnect the wire harness to the fans that are on the top part. The harness is connected to the E-box. You just need to press down and slide it out. And then to slide the panels, you just lift up and they can slide out. The other panel, there is a Y split to go to feed the fans down in the motor. You need to disconnect the harness that's after the Y. So disconnect that, slide the panel out. So what we're going to be doing is removing the heavy assemblies out of the unit. So we're going to be removing the stage 1 and 2 filter assembly, the stage 4, and the membranes out of the system. So the first thing we need to do is disconnect all the clips for the hoses. So we have clip pliers, make it easier to remove them. Remove the stage 4 inlet and outlet, stage 2 inlet and outlet, and then the stage 4, which we'll remove in a moment. Next step is removing the harnesses off of them. So we're going to be removing the stage 4 pressure sensor, and then the TDS sensor, which you just press in on a small tab and then pull upwards. And the same thing with stage 1 and 2. Remove the TDS sensor, just press in and pull upwards, and then on the pressure sensor, you pull outwards to release the clip. Once we have the harnesses loose, you need to use a small flathead screwdriver, which is in the toolkit, to remove the wire loom, which is on the filter assembly. Just pry upwards to open up the clamshell, and then you have the harness loose. You can just set those aside. And then same thing on stage 4. Remove that clip and slide the harness out of the way. So now that we have the clips out, we can remove the hoses. And then we'll have to remove the clips. So just twist side by side, remove the inlet for stage or outlet for stage 4, inlet for stage 1, and then outlet for stage 2. And then the stage 4 inlet on the side of the machine. You can remove the hose directly off of the pressure relief valve that's on the stage 4. You just twist side to side, and then you can set that off on the side of the machine. Next step was we're going to need to remove the wedges that are holding in the stage 1, 2, and 4, which is going to be a 5/32 Allen wrench. They are labeled, so when you reassemble them, it's easy to see. They're labeled left, center, and right. They're just L, C, and R. Just use the 5/32 and loosen them. And the whole wedge will come out. You can set that aside. The center wedge, and remove the right side wedge. This one is holding in a hose. Easiest way is just to twist the hose out. You can set that inside the unit. So now that we've got everything disconnected on the stage 1, 2, and 4, now everything's loose. The filter assemblies are loose. So the first step is remove the stage 4, or you can remove the stage 1 and 2, but I find it easiest to remove stage 4. Just grab it, pull it out. Same thing with stage 1 and 2, just pivot it towards you and lift up. Set it aside. So now that we have the stage 1, 2, and 4 removed, we can move to the membranes and remove all the hoses off those. So the high pressure lines are going to be 5/32 Allens, and there is one, the flush line, since it's low pressure, is going to have the clip that needs to be removed with the tool. Set that aside. Move that hose and set it aside. We're going to be removing the feed line. Set that clip and Allen bolts aside and remove the permeate line. Set that aside. And then there is a concentrate line on the base of the membranes on the manifold. You need to remove that. It's again a 5/32 Allen. Then remove the U-clip. So now that we have all the hoses disconnected, we can now remove the 2 wedges that are holding in the membranes in the tank. The middle wedge on the membranes is actually blocked by the concentrate hose. So you just pull that out. Use the 5/32 to remove the wedge. And set that aside. And then the tank wedge. This one's going to have to be reinstalled, so I'm just going to leave this one connected, but I'm going to remove the Allen bolt so I don't lose it. Just remove the hoses and set them towards the center of the unit. So now the membranes are completely loose. We can now lift these out just like we did on the stage 1 and 2 filter. So just pivot it towards you, slide them up. On the side. Since we're going to be moving it with the tank still in the unit, we're going to reinstall the wedge so it holds it in while we're transporting it so it doesn't bounce around. This only needs to be hand tight. We're not going to torque this because once we get to the final location, we're going to remove it so we can reinstall the membranes. So now everything's removed and move all the hoses towards the center of the unit, and then we're ready to use our lifting straps to lift the machine up and bring it down the stairs or to its final location. To move the membranes and filter assemblies, the toolkit does have lifting strap handles that you can install in them to make it easier to carry them. Very easy to install, so you just wrap the strap around the housing and slide it through the clip. Just tighten the strap. And do that on the bottom one as well. So once these handles are on and tightened, you can begin to lay it on its side. And you and your coworker can carry the membranes up, or you can carry them up one by one. So we're going to say that we've got the unit moved down to the basement, down the stairs, moved all the filters and membranes down. We're going to remove these straps and reinstall everything and reconnect all the hoses so you're ready to start your startup sequence. The straps, and then now ready to reinsert the membranes back in. We're going to need to remove this wedge that's holding the tank in so we can get the membranes in. So use the 5/32 to remove it. Set that aside. Now we have everything out of the way. So easiest way to look at the membrane, which way to put it in, is the flush hole is going to be on the left-hand side if you're facing to the left side of the unit. Permeate line is going to have an arrow towards you, and you're going to see the concentrate hole at the base of the membrane manifold. So get it in position. So the one key with this is you're going to need to lift it up and over these lips, and it's got a cutout on the base of it to attach the membranes and the filters in their position where they're supposed to go. in its position. You can see we're in the cutout, so we're good. We're going to reinstall the wedges so it's held in there while you're working on it. Just tighten that by hand. We're going to torque these in a moment. And then you can install the center wedge for the membranes. So the one key with the membranes, when you reinstall the wedge, you need to make sure the concentrate line is above the wedge, because if you attach it within the inside, you're not going to be able to put the hose back in its original position. So just hold it out of the way as you thread it in by hand. This just needs to be hand tight. So now we're going to reinstall all of our hoses. So we have the concentrate line. Just press that in. Then the feed line on the back of the membranes. The line that's going to the tank is the permeate line. Install that in position, and then the flush line, which is going to be the small diameter hose here. So we need the hose clip for the flush line. And then we're going to need a 5/32, so we're going to reconnect all the connections, the U-clips that hold in the hoses. Just throw this in by hand, so it allows you a little bit of place. You can center the second bolt. Attaches the permeate clip. And then the feed. So now that we've got all the lines hand tightened, what we're going to use is the torque wrench, and it's going to be set to 20 inch-pounds. So all the hoses and the wedges for the unit are going to be torqued to 20 inch-pounds. So mine's already set to 20 inch-pounds. Just going to make sure these are all torqued to spec. Click and you're good. Second wedge. Install the hose, and then we can torque the concentrate line. Torque the permeate line. And then the feed line. So now everything's installed on the membrane side. We're going to start installing the stage 4 and stage 1 and 2 filters. So I'm going to install the stage 1 and 2 first. So this side also has the cutout on the base to help you align the filters where they need to be. Just like you removed it, just kind of grab both membranes, lift upwards, slide it into place. And we'll do the same thing with stage 4. Lift upwards and slide it into place. hand tighten the wedges. Install the left wedge that has an L label on it, 5/32 Allen. Just tighten it in by hand. We're going to torque those in a moment. The center wedge. And the right wedge. All right, so the next step is we're going to install all of our hoses. Use this with a little bit. So we're going to install the stage 4 inlet hose, stage 4 outlet. And then you can connect the TDS and pressure sensor. Make sure you clip down your wire loom clip that's on the top of the stage 4. Make sure you hear an audible click when you press these in. And we're going to connect the inlet and outlet lines for stage 1 and 2. And these through the wire loom connector, and then connect the pressure sensors. The easiest way to tell with these is the inlet side, or the outlet side is going to, or inlet, sorry. The inlet side is going to have the pressure sensor and TDS sensor connected. They are connected together, so you cannot mix them up. Just click in the pressure sensor and TDS sensor. Make sure you hear audible clicks on them. Make sure they are connected all the way. And the next step was we're going to install the clips on the hoses. It's going to be 4. They're all the same size. We're going to install the stage 4 inlet, stage 4 outlet, stage 1 inlet, stage 1 outlet. So the next step is we're going to use this torque wrench again, set to 20 inch-pounds. We're going to torque down the wedges that hold in the filters housings. So once you have that torqued, you have everything connected. Just run through all your connections. Make sure you have all the clips in, all the harnesses in. Make sure you have the line connected to the pressure relief valve. All these sensors are connected. The flow sensors are connected. We bolted down these, installed the clip. All the housings and everything's torqued on that side. So now once you've run through everything, make sure you don't have any missing parts. You can get your system ready to run your startup sequence. And then once you run through the startup sequence, make sure you don't have any leaks. You can reinstall your side panels and cover, and you're ready to run.